And today we've got a really, really thought-provoking topic, one that honestly is on so many people's minds lately, whether they realize it or not. We're diving into a new book by C SAYLES titled The Crisis of Trust, Authority, Speech and Legitimacy in an Age of Narrative Management. So first off, let's ask that simple but big question. What is happening to trust in modern society? Why does it seem like no matter where you look, media, government, science, even your doctor sometimes, there's this undercurrent of doubt, suspicion, and sometimes just exhaustion? This book grapples with that. Now, SAYLES introduces trust as more than a feeling or, some kind of naivety. Instead, SAYLES frames trust as, get this, the invisible infrastructure of social life. If you've ever had a contract, sat on jury duty, read the news, or just, protested something, you've already been caught up in these invisible threads of trust. The author says that trust is what actually makes authority, cooperation, testimony, and institutional legitimacy possible. When it's there, society works, even when we all disagree. But when trust rots away, nothing feels safe or fair anymore. Suddenly, every statement sounds like propaganda, every suggestion has an agenda, every call to action is a manipulation. It's stressful. That's the core problem explored here. Now, what's the reason for this erosion? The book calls it a structural crisis. Not just misinformation or a lack of civility, but a deeper breakdown of the conditions that make trust possible in the first place. Institutions are still talking at us, experts are offering advice, and governments are doing whatever governments do, but according to SAYLES, their speech is filtered through a fog of suspicion. People aren't just disagreeing, they're doubting the legitimacy of the whole system and the right of those speaking to even speak, which is, chilling if you think about where that road ends up. So how does the author make sense of all this? Here's where SAYLES gets specific and, honestly, pretty compelling. Trust, according to this work, is defined as the confident expectation that someone, whether an individual or an institution, will exercise their authority, their knowledge, their power with honesty, reliability, and accountability, even when we can't verify everything they do, which, let's be real, is almost always. The point is, trust needs clear boundaries. If leaders or institutions start bending the rules about where their power stops, or they hide what they're supposed to be open about, then trust isn't going to stick around. Now, SAYLES argues that a big reason for our current crisis is that institutions have kind of swapped real obligation for what is called narrative management. Speech isn't about accountability anymore. It's strategic. It's part of a communication plan. It's about managing the optics, repairing reputation, carefully picking what to reveal, and framing everything as a crisis. We're bombarded with this, right? The result? Even transparency becomes suspect. People ask, what are they really hiding? Every fact check, every correction starts to feel like a PR move, not an honest effort. Interesting how it lays these ideas out. Let's talk about solutions for a sec. SAYLES doesn't believe that just better messaging or slicker PR campaigns can restore trust. Nope, what's needed, the book claims, is discipline, a kind of return to clearly defined limits for authority, straightforward speech, and correction that is actually about the truth, not saving face. You want trust? You need boundaries. Power that respects its own limits, communicates truthfully, and accepts accountability actually generates trust. So what's the big takeaway for you, our listeners? Whether you're working in government, in business, in science, or even just trying to have a respectful chat online, trust is something you're probably building or losing without even being conscious of it. SAYLES' message is that legitimacy isn't about having the best-sounding narrative or the slickest branding. It's about truthfulness, knowing your limits, and submitting to the standards you expect from others. And maybe the tough part here is that these insights challenge a lot of what we've gotten used to in institutions, media, even in how we interact ourselves. Trust doesn't collapse because humans suddenly get irrational. it collapses, according to Sayles, when the foundations for rational trust are just plain gone. To restore that, no amount of spin or crisis comms will do. It takes real work, real limits, and real transparency. Easier said than done, obviously. Alright, that's all for today.